Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our first virtual Safetytech Expo. We're really looking forward to an exciting afternoon of many interesting insights into the world of safety tech and to learn how technology can make not only our working environment a safer place, but in general the world. So together with Lloyd's Register and the Lloyd's Register Foundation, Plug and Play has worked on finding startups that can help various corporations with their specific tech challenges to ensure that the highest level of safety is guaranteed. So the employees can safely return to their families and back home. These corporations came from many different industries such as maritime, energy and oil and gas, and even food. So we see it's not only considering like the employees of the company, but also us, like the companies, making sure that the products that they produce and distribute are safe and safe for everyone to consume. Next, I would like to give you a quick overview of the agenda. We will shortly move on to an exciting fireside chat between Saeed Amidi, CEO and founder of Plug and Play, and Richard Clegg, the Chief Executive of the Lloyd's Register Foundation. Then we're going to hear some words from Jan Stadek about the Lloyd's Register Foundation Safety Tech report. Exciting startup pitches from the Safety Accelerator, followed by a keynote from Andrew Tollington, partner in Gartner, about the safety tech landscape. And last but not least, a panel with some representatives of the corporations that piloted with startups on our platform. Now, for those who haven't heard of Plug and Play, I would like to give you a brief introduction. It all basically started in the 90s, where we had the unique opportunity to be the place and seeing companies like Google, Logitech, and PayPal being founded. And in our headquarters in Palo Alto, in the so-called Lucky Building on 165 University Avenue. We also ended up investing in some of them, and meanwhile, basically we grew to a platform that can be described into three different pillars. One of the pillars is where we come from. It's the investment pillar. We are still the most active investor in the world with more than 220 investments. The second pillar is the corporate innovation platform, of which you will see the results today in our expo. And the third one is the Accelerator program, which goes hand in hand, where we have over 60 accelerator programs in our 30 different locations worldwide. Now, basically, we don't only combine on our platform startups and corporations, but we rather show the whole ecosystem. We want to get governments, we want to get universities and many other investors all together to build this unique ecosystem, which allows us to be a neutral platform to bring all of these ideas and innovative corporations together. Then, how do we do this? So we have different, what we call so-called verticals, and these verticals are industry-specific innovation platforms. One of them is safety tech. We also focus on topics like supply chain, energy, sustainability, smart cities, and many more. And on these platforms, we host more than 400 corporations in those over 30 locations. Some of these corporations are the biggest in the world. In general, it's of these 400, they're amongst the Fortune 500 companies internationally. And if we go and have a look at our locations worldwide, we try to set up each of these companies together in these certain locations and build a certain platform around it. So we have different platforms all around the world. For example, in Silicon Valley, where we have all of the verticals together. In Hamburg, we are, for example, hosting safety tech together with supply chain. In Northwest Arkansas is also supply chain together with Walmart and JB Hunt and Tyson Food. In Paris, we are maybe, for example, focusing on the topics of fashion and also fintech and also smart cities. So we are working together with the local companies of these different areas and build platforms around it. If we could go to fantastic. Now, I would like to introduce you today to our speakers of the fireside chat. With us today is Saeed Amidi, the CEO and founder of Plug and Play. He has 20 years experience in investing into technologies with exits such as PayPal, Dropbox, Danger, or N26. He's a serial entrepreneur and thought leader on open innovation and has a singular passion for inspiring and helping entrepreneurs and corporations succeed. Thank you for joining us this morning, Saeed.
It's a great pleasure to be with you, Salar.
Thank you. Furthermore, we have Professor Richard Clegg, the Chief Executive of the Lloyd's Register Foundation, an independent global charity with a mission is to enhance the safety of life and property and advance public education. The foundation itself is a major global supporter of science and engineering related research, skills and education, public outreach, and accelerating technology to application. Thank you, Richard, for being here.
Thank you very much, Salah. Hello, Saeed.
Pleasure.
Now, I would like to hand over the word to Saeed to get started. Thank you.
Wonderful. It's a real pleasure, Richard, having you with us in this Safety Tech special day. You know, we run many accelerators around the world, and it is really incredible that we can have these discussions, have startups, have innovative people connected from all around the world virtually and digitally. But Richard, first, I love many people know Lloyd's Foundation and Lloyd's Register, but I love that if you could give us very high level what you guys do. I believe you are in more than 70 countries. You're more than 250 years old. So I love that if you tell us a little bit about your activities.
Absolutely, Saeed. I'm really happy to do that, and welcome to everybody that's on this webinar as well. Well over a couple of hundred people. Yes, let me give you a Google Earth picture of the foundation, who we are and what we stand for. As was said in the introduction, we're an independent global charity, and our purpose, quite simply, is to make the world a safer place. And we focus on the critical infrastructure that modern society relies on, which includes things like shipping, transport, energy, communications, food and supply chains in general. So the sort of engineering related critical infrastructure that the world relies on, and we want to keep that infrastructure and the people that operate it and the people that benefit from it safe. In pursuit of that, we're a big global supporter and funder globally of research, leading edge scientific research, education, public understanding of risk, and importantly, which ties in with the accelerator, accelerating good ideas and technology to application, including its commercialization. I want to say something about our uniqueness. It's not just our safety related mission in the world that makes us stand out, but we are also unique because we have a global commercial trading arm, and we work together with this significant trading arm to make the world a safer place. I like to think of it, we like to think of it as a 21st century model for doing social business. We work very hard to satisfy our customers and clients and make a profit. And the important thing in our model is that that then gets put back into those communities and those parts of the world where we earned that profit to make the world a safer place. And just to conclude with a statistic, every 10 seconds on average in the world, a person is killed at work or directly related to their occupation. That's a horrendous statistic, and our job is to understand why and make an intervention that will work.
Wonderful, Richard. I remember, one of the first time we met together, I believe, was in London. And when you shared that stat with me, that, on the ships, on the oil rigs, in the factories around the world, every 10 seconds we lose one life, quite frankly, was a bit shocking to me. And with technology and with innovation, with your research, I am confident we could improve on that a great deal. And this is like, I also would like to share some news with you. When we started working with Lloyd's Foundation, we are quite used to working with large corporations like Mercedes, Shell, Exxon, but to align your mission with the accelerator and an innovation platform, you were, I would say, our first foundation as a partner. But I'm happy to report to you that with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we are working on a health accelerator in Africa, and specifically with Walton Foundation in Northwest Arkansas, the family behind Walmart. We are working to improve entrepreneurship and create technology jobs in the middle of America. But coming back to safety, and especially at this time, it's a very complex world. How do you see this Safety Accelerator and the work you do reflect during these challenging times, Richard?
Yeah, happy, Saeed, to talk around that. And congratulations as well with your link now with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I think that's great. And just to pick up on that point, and then I'll talk about Safetytech in answer to your question. We although we would like to be, we're not on the scale of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but our ambitions are probably just as big on a global scale as theirs are. And we realize that to fulfill our ambition, we need to work with and through other organizations. We need to work with partners and collaborators and funders and GMOs in order to try and just marshal this big coalition of support and work together in pockets to make the world a safer place. So, that brings us on to the accelerator, because this is a vehicle, it's a movement, it's a marketplace where others can join this important problem that we're facing in the world about statistically every 10 seconds a person is killed, in order to try and solve these problems with digital technologies. We all live in an increasingly complex, interconnected world, and it's being driven by digital technologies like big data and artificial intelligence and robotic and autonomous systems. And some people describe this and say that we're entering the fourth industrial revolution. And these technologies, if aimed and exploited carefully, have the power to make the world a safer place, in line with our charitable purpose. Hence Safetytech and trying to create this safety tech brand, this safety tech marketplace, and to grow it on a global scale. Put simply, the work that we've done to date with others that I've described forecasts that the safety tech market could grow to be worth a massive $863 billion within the next short few years. And if we can make that happen, if working with people like Plug and Play and with other beneficiaries in this marketplace, if we could make that $863 billion of inward investment happen, then I'll be happy, because the world will be $863 billion safer. And that's the prize, and that's the benefit to society that we're looking to achieve.
Wonderful, Richard. And, you know, I always say we should dream big and dream as big as possible. And then hopefully we can scale it down and do what we do in technology business, do a POC, proof of the concept. And when you can do it economically, safely, then you can scale it up. You know, the year 2020 for Saeed and for Plug and Play was supposed to be the year of sustainability. You know, we launched with Alliance to End Plastic Waste, a platform in Paris, US, and Singapore. And I feel sustainability and safety like goes hand in hand, you know, because we need to make the world a safer place. We need to make the environment and the production, exploration, shipping, supply chain a safer place. How do you feel we could learn from this COVID-19 and the challenges that we are going through, so we would have a lasting effect on our lives and on our future, and quite frankly, in our work?
Saeed, I'm really, really pleased that you've mentioned that word, sustainability. And exactly as you've said, I completely agree with you. Safety and sustainability are the flip sides of the same thing. They are brothers and sisters. And as a foundation, strategically, we are challenge-led and we're evidence-driven, and we need to work with and through others that I've described. And being challenge-led means to us that we need to focus on those parts of the world where there are the biggest challenges to do with safety, and where we could make the greatest difference if we could do something. And one of those challenges is to do with sustainability, recognizing towards that being safe and being sustainable needs to go together. We could make the world a safer place, but in the process, we consumed Mother Earth, then that's not going to be ultimately a beneficial outcome. And it's going to just create its own problems. So we need to be safe and we need to be sustainable, whether it's to do with the way that we generate energy safely, the way that we farm and consume and distribute food safely, or the way that we travel and communicate around the world safely. So they're all together, and I'm really chuffed that you brought those together. Just moving on and saying something about, you know, the situation, you know, the pandemic that we're in at the moment. I mean, this has heightened to us all that we live in a risky world. We've probably got a little bit desensitized to risk. It's usually something that happens to somebody else, always somebody less fortunate than ourselves, and quite often to somebody that's outside of our own community space. But we're now, I think everybody is realizing that we live in a risky world. And there are lots of other risks beyond pandemics out there. Climate change and its impact that it is going to have on critical infrastructure, and extreme natural events, and all of that sort of stuff is just going to follow after the pandemic. I'm sure afterwards in the boardroom we're going to pay a lot more attention to tail risks, those risks that we always thought of as low likelihood, but they have a big impact, because those black swans, those tail risks, they do happen. And when they do, their impact is just a massive thing. In addition to safety and sustainability, there's also this word resilience, which again is part of the family with safety and sustainability, the word that all goes together. And one of the things that COVID-19 has really shown us is that a lot of the critical infrastructure that we rely on in our everyday lives, whether it's food or PPE, or the energy to keep us going, or the communications to keep us in touch, all of that infrastructure is fragile. And one of the things that we would like to do through the Accelerator, one of the things is to tackle this important issue of resilience. And it takes me back, and I'll conclude, takes me back to the point I was making a moment ago, that we live in a very complex, interconnected world. And this interconnectivity is coupled in ways we never imagined. The world that we live in has evolved to look like this. We never designed it. It was never a template to make it like it is. It's evolved and grown in this way, and it's not as resilient as we would like. And so COVID-19 has shown us the importance of focusing, as well as everything else, on the resilience of the critical infrastructure that we all rely on. Saeed.
You know, Richard, you brought us to this world of, foundations trying to improve the safety of the world. And I know that, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is really concerned with the world health. Even during this COVID-19, I believe they have committed the most funding to launch different initiatives. This COVID-19 showed us that the world is connected, and it doesn't matter if you're poor or rich. And unfortunately, with the recent events in the United States, we see that we need to include everyone as the world improves. And, every life matter, every person, I feel, is connected to the other people. And we need to improve. I love when you talked about food, agriculture, safety, energy industry. It is not either or. We have to do all of this together. And I feel Lloyd's Register can be a leader in collaboration with many other organizations. And we are very proud at Plug and Play to be working with you. And I would love to finish on a positive note and hear your positive thoughts. We are committed to sustainability and safety in the agriculture business, in the health business with Roche, Sanofi, but we all need to work together. And if you had a word of advice for the younger generations, for the entrepreneurs, what would that be, Richard? And with that, I will also say goodbye, but I love to hear your wisdom in that aspect.
That's a $1 million question, Saeed. And I think, you know, the way that I would answer that is to play back something that you said 10 minutes ago. You were talking about dream big. And that's right. But the advice that I would give, building on that, is having dreamed big, and you have a vision, you have a pole star, the North Star that you're going to navigate to. The question is, having dreamt about it, specifically, what are you going to do? Exactly, what's the first thing that you're going to do? And then when you've done that, what is the second thing that you're going to do? And then the third thing, it's about steps. And it's about turning a vision, a dream, a need into practicality. And that's what this accelerator with Plug and Play is. There's a need out there. There's an unfulfilled need out there. And I can dream about it and I can envision it, and we can do the same with entrepreneurs. This is the accelerator is about turning all of that into practicality and actually trying to make the world a better place.
I love what you said, you know, like again, especially in sustainability, there is a lot of passionate people, but you have to we have to use plastics for food preservation, for food packaging, but we just have to use it more responsibly and more sustainably. And in Richard, I really pride ourselves to be working with such a influential organization, and we look forward to working together to make the world a safer place.
Thank you, Saeed. As always, it's lovely to have a fireside chat with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Saeed, for these interesting insights into the world of safety. Since this is a movement as well, I would, in terms of making the world a safer place, I'm also encouraging our viewers and partners and other corporations to join us on building this alliance to make the world a safer place. And now I'm giving it over to our next speaker, Jan Przodek, who is the Director of Technologies for the Lloyd's Register Foundation, and will give us a little insight about the Lloyd's Register Foundation Safetytech report. So, thank you.
Hello everybody, my name's Jan Przodek and I'm Director of Technologies at Lloyd's Register Foundation. I'm delighted to be here today launching the Foundation's report on the market for safety tech. Now, more than ever, we depend on critical infrastructures and supply chains to live our lives. The device that you're watching me on has had quite a journey from the raw materials in the ground to being in front of you right now. The electricity that's powering your device has likewise come a long way from the wind turbine or a gas field all the way to the device you're using now. But running the critical infrastructures and supply chains behind this is not without risk to workers, to assets, and to the organisations behind them, and ultimately to us, the general public. our minds focus more on safety and health in times of crisis. But even when things are normal, the safety of these infrastructures, supply chains, and the people behind them still remain important. And this is where safety tech has an important role to play. Our report introduces safety tech, what it is, why it's needed, why now is its time, and the opportunities that brings. So safety tech is the collective term for the technologies, the products and services that are beginning to disrupt safety approaches in traditional safety critical industries and infrastructures and supply chains. And it achieves this by applying and enabling active and dynamic risk mitigation from insights that are gained through the extensive capture and use of operational data. And safety tech combines existing digital technologies such as wearables, the Internet of Things, data analytics to produce new and innovative safety enhancing solutions. And these solutions come about from three things. Firstly, there's the capture of physical data by sensors and the digitization of this data. Secondly, it's the sharing, storage, and the analysis of this digitized operational data in order to create meaningful insights. And finally, thirdly, it's the interpretation and the transformation of this insight into real-world actions which enhance safety, actual safety. So it's the continuous real-time availability and access of data and the intelligence that comes from this data that provides the new insight. And then it's the actions that are taken with this insight that enable effective and efficient assets, workforces, and better safety management. So the question I started with is, why is safety tech needed? Well, you may be surprised to hear that globally over 300 million people are injured per year at work. And that's something like 153 workers every 15 seconds. And of these, an estimated 2.8 million per year will lose their lives, with their deaths being directly attributed to safety incidents in the workplace or exposure to hazardous materials or hazardous situations. And statistics tell us that the rate at which accidents are occurring has been reducing over a number of decades, thanks largely to improvements in laws, regulations, and better safety management. However, over the last decade, the rate of this reduction of accidents has now plateaued, and some argue that this shows collectively industry is no longer getting safer. So safety incidents and accidents also have financial consequences. Work-related safety accidents result in the loss of approximately 3.9% of global GDP. That's a staggering $3 trillion. And for individual businesses themselves, nearly 47% of the costs incurred by these organisations post-accident are usually unaccounted for, but rapidly add up. And to illustrate this, we can think of something like the April 2010 Macondo exploration well blowout on the Deepwater Horizon. Killed 11 people and injured a further 17, and put a lot of oil pollution into the waters of the Gulf. This accident was initially estimated to have cost BP approximately $590 million. Over time, the costs of this incident have risen to over $55 billion, which does not include the loss of its reputation, loss of production, loss of the asset, and the loss to market valuation. So how can safety tech help businesses protect against the loss of life, assets, money, and reputation? Well, Most of the time, hazardous events are prevented or mitigated in industry by the use of suitable barriers. One problem is that during the operation of an asset, barriers such as physical arrangements or human behaviour can change over time, reducing the effectiveness of these barriers. So better safety is enabled through better insight. If you understand when things are moving towards an unsafe situation, it gives you the opportunity to do something about it. To create this insight, you need information. And although information is sometimes collected, it tends not to be collected continuously, and even if it is used to create and lead to insight, this may not represent the current situation or the real problem that you need to address. And this is where safety tech makes the difference. Safety tech enhances the safety management system. It helps to stop dangerous situations from arising and gives the ability to understand what normal looks like. And if you understand what normal operation looks like, you can start to predict changes in a system, allowing preventative measures that improve safety and operational efficiency. So adoption of safety tech in this way can lead to business benefits, as well as helping an organisation to differentiate itself from the competition. So let's look at a couple of examples. Think of somewhere where you have repeated reactive maintenance. This can actually be masking the root cause, which could be risking a serious system failure. With safety tech, an IoT mesh embedded deep within the asset can provide near real-time operational data for analytic software suites. And the prescriptive and descriptive analytic software can then detect anomalies in different parts of the system. And using machine learning, it can link this data together to identify where the actual problem is and also predict failures. So with this insight, you can then take effective preventative measures to really solve the problem. And another example is how wearable technology is being used to protect workers in areas where there are dynamic risks. Using data that's collected from the working environment, it's possible to alert workers if there are vehicles approaching, if somebody perhaps has fallen into the water, to control who enters into specific zones, or even something like helping to enforce social distancing. So safety tech, it's a really exciting time for safety tech right now. The technologies that enable it are now established. The cost of these technologies has decreased significantly. There's a growing community out there that is bringing these technologies together to solve challenges. But some of their solutions that are out there already exist and can simply be repurposed towards safety. And industries, and even the really conservative ones, are now looking to technology to solve their safety challenges. And our award-winning Safety Accelerator has demonstrated that industry wants to address its safety challenges with technology, and that there are startups and technology companies out there that can create effective solutions or indeed repurpose their offerings to address safety challenges. But I don't want you to take my word for this. Our challenge partners and winning startups will tell you more about their experiences shortly. Safety tech is likely to become established as a new market space with untapped commercial opportunity worth billions of dollars, doing for safety what fintech does for banking. Only recently defined, The market for safety tech is forecast to expand rapidly in the short term, being led by startups and innovative players who will combine advanced technologies to offer new solutions to safety challenges. An analysis of the market potential for safety tech has estimated it to be worth up to $863 billion by 2023. And even for the subset of safety critical industries and supply chains that we all depend upon, which are closest to the heart of the foundation, the safety tech market is expected to be worth at least $257 billion by 2023. So the time is now right for these technologies to improve safety outcomes, and our report highlights how the success of the safety tech market is something that we all benefit from in one way or another. And I'd like to now say that the report will be able to be downloaded from the Lloyd Register Foundation's website after midnight tonight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Jan. It was very interesting insights, and we're going to have at the end an opportunity for some Q&A together with Andrew from Gartner after his presentation. And now we're coming closer to the part of the startup pitches. But in order to give you a little bit more background of the Safety Accelerator, I would like to introduce you to Philippos Kyprianou, who is with Lloyd's Register and is the manager of the Safety Accelerator. Philippos, I will hand it over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the Safetytech Expo. Today marks 2 years since the inception of the Safety Accelerator, and we're really excited to be sharing this day with you. My name is Philippos Kyprianou, the Safety Accelerator Manager, and I'd like to give you a brief overview of our program before moving on to our startup pitches. The LR Safety Accelerator is a challenge-based accelerator. What that means is that we work with our corporate challenge partners to identify the safety and risk areas where they're passionate about, and then we match them with high potential digital startups in order to tackle those specific challenges. We've launched the Safety Accelerator because we saw there was a gap between safety and technology. Therefore, our mission is to accelerate the adoption of digital technology in safety and risk and to make the world a safer place. Key characteristic of our program is that the Lloyd Register Foundation funds the selected startups to pilot their solutions with corporate challenge partners. We do that in order to de-risk innovation for our corporate clients by removing a financial burden, and at the same time, give a platform and the resources to startups in order to try their solutions in live industry environments. We try to achieve our mission by following a very robust process. At the first stage, we work with our clients using a series of innovation workshops, brainstorming sessions, and other initiatives in order to identify the challenge areas where they're passionate about. We try and involve as many people from the organization, from different departments, in order to get a holistic view of the safety and risk concerns across the organization. The main output of that stage is what we call a challenge brief. There, we outline the problem to be solved, the wider industry impact, as well as the technology requirements of what we're looking for. Plug and Play uses that challenge brief to source widely from the huge network of startups from across the globe. Once we have a strong set of applications, we use internal LR experts as well as external people from our clients involved in the challenge to review those applications and shortlist the best ones. The 3 best applications are revised to what we call an Innovation Day. There, our startups have the opportunity to pitch their solutions, tell us their plan for tackling their challenge, but at the same time have the opportunity to answer any questions from ourselves or challenge partners. One selected startup is funded by the Lloyd Register Foundation to go on a 3-month journey with us and our clients in developing the proof of concepts even further. After the 3-month period, we worked extensively with them to develop case studies to disseminate the knowledge that we have gathered over the 3 months, and for the successful solutions, work with our clients and the startups to potentially commercialize them for wider industry impact. We're very lucky to be working with Plug and Play because as a result of that, we can be technology agnostic. We work with organizations across marine, energy, food, as well as government agencies such as the Health and Safety Executive, across a wide range of challenges, from detecting plastic pipelines to machine analytics to maintenance analytics and listeria and allergy detection. We're able to source for a wide spectrum of technologies across the world. We're very proud to say that we're a very global program. We've engaged with startups and corporates across 18 countries, representing 4 continents, and even in difficult times like that, we've been able to continue our sourcing and continue engaging with our startups and clients in developing the POCs and delivering our pilot projects. The numbers in that page are a testament of the successful partnership between Plug and Play and us in developing open innovation and providing open innovation initiatives from across the world. We've managed to engage with over 600 startups over the period of 2 years, and our clients and us have participated in over 50 startup pitches with 23 challenge partners across 26 innovation challenges. And for us, this is just the beginning, and we try to have a wider and bigger impact over the coming years. Without any further ado, I'd like to open the floor to our startups, which we'll pitch to you today. We've got SnapDNA out of Mountain View, California, Lexitexer from Berlin, Germany, Reality AI, headquartered in Columbus, Maryland, and AI Expert and Sensing Feeling out of London. I'd like to thank everybody for their attention. Here are my contact details, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions about open innovation, about the Lloyd Foundation, and about the Safety Accelerator. Hope you enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you very much, Philippos. I'm looking forward to more exciting startup corporate collaborations, and yeah, looking forward to make this world together a safer place with the right technologies. So now we're reaching the part with the startup pitches, and therefore I would like to introduce you to Harvey Williams, our Senior Ventures Associate based in Silicon Valley. Good morning, Harvey.
Hey, Salar, can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay?
Absolutely. I will hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Salar. Appreciate it. And good morning, good evening, everyone. So we are going to move into the startup presentation portion, as Philippos and Salar had mentioned. But a couple of quick things that I wanted to just call out. So we're going to be running polls throughout every presentation on if you'd like to be connected to the entrepreneur. So please do just let us know by selecting yes or no. And then the Plug and Play and the Lloyd's Register teams are going to do our best to make those introductions after the event. We are also going to have a Q&A session at the end of each of the presentations. So please participate along with us. You can find the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Ask questions. We're going to be pulling questions from the audience. So again, we encourage participation. We'd love to hear from you. So please do let us know your thoughts and your questions for these entrepreneurs. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to SnapDNA.
The food we eat must be tested for pathogens such as Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli. Processors typically hold finished product for 3 days or more, waiting for lab test results. SnapDNA has a customer-proven solution that delivers automated on-site sample-to-answer pathogen analysis in 20 minutes, saving millions of dollars a year. We compete with and replace food testing labs. For both routine daily testing and for tracing contaminations, SnapDNA is superior to every other test at every scale. SnapDNA meets or exceeds lab tests on every key metric, analyzing only live cells from industry-accepted samples with near-zero false positive results and single-cell sensitivity. SnapDNA is the only rapid test that meets these core requirements to replace a lab test, and the only test that can be used on-site at point of need. Food recalls cost processors an average of $10 million in direct costs alone. When indirect costs, such as lost sales and reputational damage, are factored in, a single recall can cost over $100 million. The longer it takes to identify the source of a contamination, the greater the financial exposure. Bluebell Creamery laid off or furloughed 2/3 of its workers and had to raise $125 million when they couldn't identify the source of a listeria outbreak. U.S. lettuce sales were down over $400 million in 2018 and 2019 when it took months to find the source of an E. coli outbreak in romaine lettuce. Tiger Brand's market cap dropped by $1.3 billion after listeria outbreaks spanned 8 months in 2018. SnapDNA enables heat map analysis of up to 500 quantitative test results per day to help identify, isolate, and remediate contamination sources in a single day instead of weeks, months, or longer with 3-day lab tests. There are over 100 million food pathogen tests per year in the United States, over 400 million worldwide. This is an existing recession and pandemic-proof $12 billion per year market, growing to $15 billion in less than 3 years. SnapDNA will sell single-use cartridges for each test performed at prices competitive with lab testing. Listeria cartridges will be available next month. Salmonella and E. coli, as well as yeast and mold cartridges, are projected in 2021. SnapDNA is proud to have been selected by PepsiCo to showcase our True Rapid solution as winner of the Lloyd's Register Revolutionary Listeria Challenge. We have reimagined food safety from the ground up. SnapDNA captures pathogen cells in real time, enabling us to address every requirement of the Lloyd's Pepsi Challenge. We change the speed at which food manufacturers can detect food pathogens by providing rapid on-site analysis at point of need, with sample-to-answer results in as little as 20 minutes. SnapDNA meets or exceeds every metric to replace lab testing. In Phase 1, SnapDNA and PepsiCo will confirm that the SnapDNA system captures only live cells and does not detect cells that have been killed by antimicrobials and other processes used in PepsiCo facilities. This is a core requirement for food testing and a unique SnapDNA advantage. In Phase 2, SnapDNA will process environmental samples from PepsiCo facilities at our lab to confirm proper operation. And in Phase 3, PepsiCo samples will be selectively spiked with listeria at an independent third-party lab and tested using SnapDNA diagnostic instruments. COVID has certainly added a delay to the project, but as the country opens up, we look forward to continuing our work with Pepsi and completing the pilot. SnapDNA enables rapid on-site testing that saves food processors millions of dollars a year in operational costs and far more when contamination occurs. We are grateful to Lloyd's Register, Plug and Play, and the PepsiCo Global Innovation Team for the opportunity to showcase our tipping point technology.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this. Harvey has a quick, Harvey, are you back? Fantastic.
Yep. Hello, everyone. And David, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Good. I can. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Good morning.
So I was hoping you could maybe elaborate a little further on the process. You know, as you went through the Safety Accelerator process from you know, the initial diligence phase all the way through to kind of where you are now. Can you maybe walk us through what that journey was like? And then, you know, where do we go from here? I know you kind of mentioned it in your last slide there, but I'd love to learn a little bit more about what's happening on site. What are your plans for the rest of the year?
So I guess a little bit of background. We went to the industry and we asked what's needed. And we worked from the beginning very closely with people from the food industry to understand the needs, because the food industry has very specific needs. And it's taken us many, many years to get to the point where we're at today to satisfy all the critical needs. You know, Tom mentioned live versus dead testing. If you have a kill step and you cook food, you kill the pathogens, but you're not going to remove the DNA. So the test has to do that. It has to work with large samples. There's a lot of requirements. So we've worked through those requirements. We're launching a commercial product, and our goal is and has been to work with large food companies to change the paradigm. Right now, food samples are sent to a lab, and days later they get a result. And that's very expensive, and it's also not as safe. Having on-site testing, getting near instant results changes that paradigm, but it's also a different way of thinking through the problem of taking control of that from a food processor's perspective.
And so where in the workflow stream does your solution, where does it begin? And then what happens afterwards inside the facility?
So one of the most desired places to test food is at end product, because any point along the chain, food could get contaminated with the pathogen. So right before it ships out the door is the desired place to do the testing, right before it's packaged, actually. So at the end of the line. So what would happen is today, food processors test end product already. They already test the environmental surfaces, which are anything that food contacts and the floors around that area, and they swab those. So that is exactly the same with our process. Just right now, they send it to the lab. With us, they would test it. And the goal is that the test results are available when the food is ready to ship. So there's no need to store food anymore, which adds a whole nother layer. So in that situation, nothing is different as far as food collection. What is different is test and ship. The other aspect is when there is a suspected contamination, on site within a day, you can do hundreds of tests. You can grid off the area. You can test all these areas, and we have the only quantitative test. So it tells how many cells are in each grid, which makes it very rapid to find potential problems.
Understood. Well, thank you very much, David, for joining us. We are out of time, but we appreciate it. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, next up, we are going to hear from Lexitexer.
And thanks for having me today. My name is Günther. I'm the founder and CEO of Berlin-based Lexitexer. We are active in predictive analytics in the heavy industries like manufacturing, like energy, transport and mobility, and safety. When you operate large and complex infrastructures like factories, like harbors, like oil platforms, gas pipelines, or railways, then incidents happen. That's true 100 years ago, and that's true today. So wouldn't it be cool to be able to learn from those past incidents to avoid future incidents, or at least to lessen the impact of new incidents? Well, unfortunately, most of the information needed to answer these questions is hidden in unstructured or semi-structured data like reports, and they're distributed across different departments, across geographies, and they come in different shapes and formats. So wouldn't it be interesting to integrate this data automatically, read the reports, and extract the relevant facts, and then use these facts and use these findings to learn and to predict details about future incidents? Well, this type of analysis is actually done today, if at all, by your hero employees. They sift through large amounts of data, and if everything goes right, they deliver actionable insights. However, this process, it won't scale and it's error-prone. And we believe that in the future, this task will be analytics-driven. And that's where Lexitexer comes in. Lexitexer is an analytics and machine learning platform. We connect to your backend systems like Oracle or SAP or Azure or your favorite ERP system to simplify data access. We read, for example, your incident data, your investigation reports, your competency reports, training records, personal engagement reports, or even working hours and task scheduling data. We then complement that data with alternative data from the Lexitexer repository. It's a real-time repository, including, for example, weather or man-made and natural disasters globally. We then identify and extract relevant information items, like what type of incidents are we talking about? What kind of hazard types were involved? What are the causal factors? what kind of corrective actions were taken in the past, what types of injuries did we see, what body parts were affected. These are just some examples of the information items that we automatically extract and where we find the functional dependency of these information items to deliver the following results. So number one, visibility. We help you to visualize your incident data in a concise and consolidated way. Number two, we connect the dots for you through analysis to identify tasks or other factors or anomalies that lead to a higher incident probability. And in the next step, we support you with risk mitigation. Once we have learned where the risk is, we mitigate that risk, for example, by rescheduling assignments across geographies and or to minimize incident probabilities, or for that matter, any other risk metric. And that leads in total to a reduction in direct and indirect costs associated with safety incidents and with a safer workspace. Thanks for now. I'm looking forward to receiving your questions and notes at hoffman@lexatexer.com. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Hello, Gunther. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Ari. Yes, I can hear you good.
Perfect. I can see you now as well.
So
thanks for the quick presentation. I was hoping maybe we could open this up and talk a little bit about data management and governance. You know, what types of data, or what is the state of that data in order to get involved with LexaTexer? Like, where do you guys kind of really pick it up?
To give you a little bit of context, and then perhaps the project we run with LR is a good starting point. From a very high flight level, we read in and connect unstructured data, that is text, that's reports, semi-structured data, that is data that's typically coming out of some piece of equipment, or some measurements that is also data coming from equipment typically. Read all this data, we try to make sense of it by connecting that. And when working with LR, we integrated a whole bunch of different data types and data sources. For example, incident databases. That is where anybody involved in an incident would write up in natural language what has happened, what body part was affected, where was it, any details about the incident. And then we would read that text and try to extract the relevant facts. And then by doing that, we were able to find the dependencies. For example, particular body parts were affected more frequently while doing certain tasks, or in certain geographies, or under certain weather conditions, or other dependencies. And that would enable us not only to describe incidents and basically visualize the current status, but also use that information to make predictions about, let's say, look, here's a list of tasks that I have to do, and then our platform would try to figure out, based on past incidents, what's the probability of things happening, what could be done to mitigate that. Understood.
And when you're looking at the different data silos inside of organizations, you know, what are some of the challenges there, and how does LexaTexer, excuse me, how do you excel in kind of aggregating a lot of that information from all these different data silos?
Yeah, well, there are two aspects to this. The first is getting access to the data, and it's not really a technical question; it's more like a legal question, or like an audit question. Would the particular department grant access to the data? In our project, for example, we were trying to get access to training data or healthcare data, but that is very difficult, not from the technical perspective, but from the legal perspective, to get your hands on this data, right? And then what we do is we are able to read basically these unstructured data sets and understand the semantics of this data and extract from the relevant facts. And then once we've got that done, we can start integrating with other sources of data, and that we enable with our platform, so you can roll out these data-driven, predictive analytics-driven projects in safety rapidly. Because if you look at what's holding back data-driven projects in the past, that is running a data science team can become really complex and can become time-consuming. We speed up that process, so it won't take you months or sometimes even years. But with our platform, we roll out these projects in weeks, I would say, and that's a tremendous increase in speed.
Thank you very much, Gunther, for joining us. We're out of time, but we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we're going to hear from Reality AI.
Hi everyone, my name is Nalin and I'm responsible for business development at Reality AI, where we provide edge AI software for advanced sensing in automotive, industrial, and consumer IoT products. Reality AI combines multiple technical disciplines to deploy sensing solutions at scale. Firstly, advanced signal processing math to directly discover features in sensor data from customer equipment or machines. Automated machine learning to generate detectors and classifiers based on the specifics of that data. Bill of materials optimization to select cost-effective sensor specs for the specific application while maintaining optimal performance. And embedded programming to deploy these machine learning models in local IoT endpoints. Our focus is in the area of signals. We specialize in machine learning methods for high-frequency sensor signals, such as vibrations coming off machines, or sound and acoustics, RF, radar, electrical, and others. And we are well suited to a variety of industrial applications. Contextual sensing around machines, such as remote detection of electrical faults and remote surveillance. Automating end-of-line quality testing of manufactured parts prior to shipment. Sensing applications inside machines, such as predicting remaining useful life of replaceable parts, anomaly detection of critical assets, and we work with a variety of corporations, such as automotive OEMs and part makers, including Honda and Denso, as well as industrial and consumer companies, such as Siemens, Daikin, Rheem, and LG Electronics. A demo video of our technology is available to view on our website. It consists of an industrial equipment stack instrumented with a single vibration sensor. We've trained and deployed a machine learning model using Reality AI software. This model is deployed to a local IoT endpoint node attached to the equipment stack. The model processes streaming vibration data in real time to detect failures, anomalies, and to predict remaining useful life of the equipment. All processing is done locally, so no connectivity is required. And here's a case study of a pilot in partnership with Lloyd's Register, Sellafield Limited, and the National Nuclear Lab. The challenge here was to provide a digital solution for industrial inspection of critical infrastructure, specifically to replace expensive and time-consuming visual inspections of extensive ventilation duct infrastructure at the Sellafield site. The Reality AI solution consists of an acoustic sensing system using standard off-the-shelf contact microphones instrumented on the duct network. A machine learning model will then be trained and deployed to continuously listen to ambient sound from the network and automatically detect anomalies such as critical cracks, defects, corrosion, and thinning of duct walls. This system would allow for automated inspection through a continuous monitoring system and also provides real-time feedback. thus ensuring safety of the workers and the site. And to wrap up, this is patented, award-winning technology. We have 15 US patents awarded already today and 6 more US patents pending on our technology. Please feel free to get in touch with us. We'd love to discuss your initiatives in more detail and explore how we might help with our Edge AI technology. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Nalan. How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So would love to kind of dive right in. I mean, I know that some of the people might be familiar with Reality AI on the call, but a lot aren't.
Sure.
So curious to kind of just quickly hear, your story and kind of the industries that you guys had tackled before safety, and then maybe what has opened up in front of you guys now that you've kind of demonstrated that there's a real solution here inside of the safety tech market.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the way the company was started was actually through a series of projects that we were involved with the Department of Defense here in the US, really deploying advanced machine learning technologies for projects around things like surveillance, drone systems, and other related applications around recognizing conditions and signals data. So think about LiDAR, radar, and other related applications where we use machine learning techniques to identify features that under the resolutions of these sensors that normal techniques could not. So over time, we realized that there was actually a need for this type of technology in the commercial industry. So we started off, in fact, engaging with the plug and play teams. We were part of plug and play's IoT and mobility sectors or programs initially about 3 years ago, where we started engaging with a variety of corporates in the automotive space as well as industrial sectors. So think about folks who are supplying automotive parts or components. If you think about a vehicle today, every component of a vehicle is now instrumented with sensors, right? Think about seats. You have seat makers who are introducing all kinds of sensors, biometric sensors and other related sensors. Door systems are integrating things like micro radar for gesture recognition and gesture control of doors. Every single component literally has a different type of sensor signal that's being integrated along with a tiny processing unit known as a microcontroller. And that's really our specialty, is to not only be able to look at that type of signal data in streaming real life scenarios, but also be able to process it very efficiently on device. So if you look at some of these components, they don't have the luxury of integrating a lot of compute like a GPU or other types of specialized compute. These are typically running off-the-shelf commodity sensors and commodity microcontrollers. So a downstream effect of our patents and technology is that we can be deployed in commodity off-the-shelf hardware to do this type of advanced sensing. So while working through a variety of customers in the automotive and industrial space, we were able to explore all kinds of applications that this technology could be deployed on. And we've actually created a software application that automates the process, takes our patented approaches and automates the process of creating a machine learning model. So we essentially call it automated machine learning. It abstracts away all the complex machine learning coding and engineering required to create this type of advanced sensing and deploy it at scale in tiny embedded systems. So the user of the software does not have to be a machine learning expert or even an advanced signal processing expert. They simply need to understand what their sensor looks like, sensor data looks like, and what they're trying to accomplish. And it's a no-code software generation environment. So think about it as AI that generates AI in a sense, right? And then having gone through a variety of programs at Plug and Play, we ended up engaging with the Lloyd's Accelerator program, the Safety Accelerator program, specifically the challenge with Sellafield. And it was very interesting to see and translate what we had already done in the industrial sector. For example, smart manufacturing environments, chemical plants and other environments, automotive factories, where we could directly apply the same technology to the type of sort of infrastructure inspections that we're doing at Sellafield and the National Nuclear Lab, right? So this is actually technology that can be directly translated into that type of remote inspection, non-invasive infrastructure inspection type scenario. We are seeing a lot of interest around essentially remote monitoring applications now, especially in the COVID area, even extending out to think about civil infrastructures for safety, right? Can we monitor or create an automated expert system to monitor things like bridges, tunnels, and other types of critical infrastructure as well?
Yeah, and I think that's very important too, to think about the safety tech market and how do we grow that as a whole. It's taking proven solutions like yours that, you know, really you cut your teeth in other industries and you're bringing it into another application that's very tangentially related to the ones where you guys kind of got started. But Nalan, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care, Nalan. Okay, next up, we're going to hear from Sensing Feeling.
Good day. I'm Jag Minhas, and I'm the CEO and founder of Sensing Feeling. Thank you for making the time to learn more about our business. For a long time, we've all known that owners of real-world spaces want to either make more money by improving customer experiences in those spaces without having to spend lots on things like repeated surveys and focus groups. And for owners of spaces in and around safety critical assets, the principal desire is to save money by improving safety and well-being without spending lots on resources associated with surveillance. We'll focus on this particular need for now. Although traditional methods of surveillance have served real-world businesses well and are good at detecting and deterring high-risk behaviours, they normally require lots of human resource to be effective in preventing potentially costly incidents from occurring, with most methods in this space typically only providing evidence after such events have already occurred. We solve these problems through the delivery of advanced human behaviour sensing products for business, powered by computer vision and machine learning, and in a manner that upholds the highest standards of end-user privacy and ethics. We do that by visual sensing of high-risk human behaviours in real-world spaces, collecting data centrally in real time so that you have the data to manage safety and detect incidents before they escalate into major, potentially costly events in a much faster and better targeted way, thus improving experiences to users of the space and reducing the costs of improving safety and well-being. Our visual sensing involves the detection of human behavior, body, postures, gestures, and movement behaviors, including things like occupancy, dwell times, motion paths, and velocities through the physical space. We use this sensing data to generate higher order real-time measures such as attention, stress, fatigue, and overall situational risk. Our products are packaged as an IoT sensing capability with an edge component which transmits telemetry data in real time to our cloud element. The edge sensor is the part that we deploy in your physical spaces, containing the software that performs all of the visual processing deployed on standard, low-power, small form factor system-on-chip hardware. Our cloud component consists of a web-based dashboard with the real-time visualizations, for example, heat maps, motion paths, and a real-time API. We care deeply about customer privacy, and we've designed our products so that in any part of our system, no video is recorded, no video is transmitted, and no personal data is stored. No individuals are tracked in such a way that they could be identified. Our solution is GDPR compliant out of the box. Clients we're engaged with use our products for a variety of different purposes, but on the safety side, our products are being used to help prevent accidents due to sleep deprivation and fatigue in road transport, oil, marine, and gas. And our technology is also being used to assist in detection of unusual behaviours, such as crowding, loitering, hostile reconnaissance, and trespass in and around some of the busiest railway stations in the world, as well as assisting with suicide prevention and security on the mass transit, rail, and metro systems. Some example use cases: our technology can be used to help detect stress and fatigue in industrial settings, provide control rooms with better management of crowding behaviours in transport systems, assist in the prevention of near misses and accidents in control room settings, to proactively detecting high-risk human behaviours in public spaces like transport hubs, event and sporting venues, and other municipal spaces. I'll pause here and very much look forward to answering any further questions you might have. I'm Jag Minhas, and we are Sensing Feeling. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jag. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I can see. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you very much for this opportunity to share our capability.
Of course, we're glad you're here. So I really want to touch on, I think, the hard problem, which is behavior, human behavior. How are you able to analyze and predict behavior? Because that really seems to be the main obstacle when it comes to these types of technologies, but it seems like you guys are able to do it.
Yes, and there is no simple answer to that question. It actually is fundamentally driven by the client or the organization who adopts our technology in really having a good understanding of the behavior that generates, for example, accidents or near misses. And so, we are a software company. We do not understand our clients' business as much as they understand it themselves. But what we can do is model that understanding in software. And if we can model it in the software at a higher order level, then we can have a fair crack at predicting when such behaviors occur, or at least predicting such behaviors before they occur. So that's, it's fundamentally about aligning a really good, solid understanding of what causes accidents and near misses in terms of human behavior, and programming or tuning the algorithms to be able to detect that.
And can you take us a little deeper into the work stream, right? Like what is happening on the alerts, the notification side? What's happening? What is the operator seeing on their screen? Would love to learn a little bit more about what this looks like, and if we can, maybe kind of understand a little bit better the operator view.
Right. So we take, if we take, for example, a situation where it's a public space, like a transport hub, maybe a railway station, and you have, lots of users of that space going about their business. Typically, the areas covered in that space will be monitored in a CCTV kind of scenario. There'd be a control room with a bank of monitors on the wall, and but there may be X hundred cameras, but only 10 screens. So the control room operator's job is to somehow sort of carousel through those screens based on their experience and instinct. Maybe couple that to time of day, or the arrival and departure of vehicles or trains or whatever it might be. Now that can be quite labor intensive and resource intensive. If we apply our software, high risk behavior detection to all of the camera feeds in the station, for example, then we can automatically trigger changes to the bank of monitors that are available in the control room. We can surface the high risk feeds automatically, so that the operator doesn't have to do that, because if you're on a site or a location where there may be up to 1,000 cameras, 1,000 CCTV feeds, but you've only got 10 screens, it's very difficult to focus in on where the high risk behaviors are taking place, like crowds, overcrowding, or other forms of undesirable behavior.
Yep.
So that's an example of how we can sort of make the control room operator's job and life a lot easier.
Yeah, well, you're solving a very hard problem, so yeah. Thank you. And unfortunately, we're out of time, Jag, but we're gonna have to move on. But thank you again for your time and your attention.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Take care. Okay, next up, we are going to hear from AI expert.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin Lee. I'm a business analyst at AI Expert. It's great to be here at the Safetytech Expo. Today we'll be talking about AI Expert and how we're working with Lloyd's Register to automate their supplier audit process. So who are AI Expert? Well, the business was founded in 2015, and the 5-year journey to date has led us to truly understand our clients' use cases. We're finally bringing within reach solutions that were seen as beyond the capability of today's technology. Our product solutions are built on a powerful supervised machine learning engine, And we kind of aim to deliver exponential improvement in operational efficiency. Currently, we're participating in a innovation challenge for Lloyd's Register's Safety Accelerator. And this is kind of designed to trial cutting-edge safety tech solutions in live industry environments.
Hi there, my name's Jose Mella. Thank you, Robin, and I'm European Sales at AI Expert. Just to cover off, AI Expert has products that cover off international challenges. Businesses are faced with new regulatory headaches time and time again, and it's us using our expertise that allow you to cater for localized and internationalized issues that face your business today. So what was the challenge when we worked with Lloyd's that we had to address? The challenge was to turn our technology, which was focused specifically in financial sectors, to apply it into the food sector and allow us to take on the regulatory audit challenges faced by the supply chain at Lloyd's Register and also the auditing process. What you're going to currently see is a demonstration of our Comply product, which is what we have used to actually create the transformation for Lloyd's Register. We've modified this to work with the internal environment at LR, the auditing standards, and also with the supply chain. We've integrated the rules from the food safety standard, and this system is now running the compliance, taking on all that information and matching. In a mere 41 seconds, we're able to provide a report of compliance in one specific area. What we have done is taken on the complexity that was in the business before with multiple layers for verification and simplified this using our cutting edge neural network machine learning expertise. So what are our key strengths as a business when we're looking at the areas of compliance and risk? The technology that we offer you, literally highlighted here in an overview slide, allows you to manage your own internal processes in a verifiable manner with a full audit trail. What we hope to do for you and the supply chain and for Lloyd's Register is to have a long-term partnership, giving you multiple benefits and keeping you in compliance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jose, can you hear me all right?
I can indeed, yes. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, Harvey. Thank you very much.
So I was hoping we could maybe talk about the implementation phase. So after the due diligence and after the scoping of the project, can you maybe walk us through what does it look like from your perspective and the customer's perspective whenever you first start to set up your solution in that POC or in that pilot?
So it's wonderful because when you start doing the discovery with regards to the client, it either takes two phases. Number one, where you give them the technology and you educate them and let them use the framework that we've developed and let them run it in their own devices. But with LR, we had a completely different approach. And it was a challenging approach because we took on the subject matter expertise of a food safety standard auditor and all the complexities that they have to face, and then try to understand how that affected the supply chain. And then on top of that, the internal business processes, putting that all together and to try and speed up not only just using the technology, but using our internal knowledge to become 3-month auditors compared to our peers at LR who've been doing it for many, many years was our challenge, and we accepted it gracefully.
And where do you go from here? You know, how do you plan to land and expand and grow, you know, market share inside of, you know, the LR landscape, but also just inside of the safety tech landscape more generally?
I think the interesting thing is LR have exposed us to a niche where we've been technically we've been operating in financial services or internal processes within the organization. Lloyd's have opened our eyes to areas such as energy and marine, the food safety industry, and the issues that it faces, and really has never been touched in a fully manualized area. And our technology is obviously cutting edge NLP. What we are now challenged to do is to turn the manual into digital and the digital into instant. That's our challenge, and that's something that I think that with LR and their experience and all the clients here today facing all these regulatory manual processes in audit, it's how to change them, and especially now with COVID, remote access, and actually automating that process and still keeping the integrity is what we hope to achieve.
Excellent. Well, Jose, thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
Take care.
You as well.
Okay, we are now going to hear from Andrew Tollington. He's a partner at Gartner, supporting organizations with technology-focused advisory. He has a special interest in safety tech and the Safety Accelerator as well. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Andrew, and then we're going to have a Q&A session with Andrew and Jan at the end.
Thank you. So I'm Andrew Tollington. I'm a partner with Gartner Consulting. I'm very happy to be here to give you a little insight into the safety tech landscape. So safety tech is a huge opportunity for the providers of products, for the organizations and people who will benefit from safety tech, and also for wider society and the environment. So I want to outline why now. Why is the time right now for safety tech? Why the conditions both in technology and driving factors in safety are going to lead to the kind of growth that Jan outlined to you earlier on. So the tech in safety tech is not simply the application of discrete technologies to safety challenges. Safety tech isn't about a single technology. The real value that safety tech leverages is the coming together of technologies, the combination and the meshing of technology and technology patterns that are going to solve safety problems in innovative and highly efficient and effective new ways. The Safety Tech Market Report identifies the Internet of Things as a major enabler of safety tech use cases. Now, the Internet of Things alone is not safety tech. If you look at the market by technology rather than by industry, IoT does feature in over 75% of the forecast for safety tech. But the real value is realized when it's considered alongside and combined with other technology classes like data analytics, asset performance management, or more traditional environmental health and safety systems. So safety tech is the application of a suite of technology, possibly in new ways, applying innovation and targeting it towards safety challenges. Safety tech exploits the interconnections between activities to enable, for example, analytics software to learn and develop causality. Safety tech blends the physical and the digital leading to autonomous infrastructure, obviously, which can lead to things operating independently, taking people out of harm's way. And Safetytech benefits from a proliferation of AI into existing technology to create more intelligent and insightful systems. And by insightful systems, I mean technical solutions that can look to the future rather than looking at the past. So from a technology perspective, it's clear that there's significant opportunity in Safetytech. It's all here. The required capabilities are already with us. We're not waiting on a missing link, some missing piece of technology to allow this to happen. Everything's there, everything's set, everything's ready to be designed into systems that will potentially build groundbreaking new safety systems. But in addition to the readiness of technology, there's a number of other factors which together will drive the growth and maturity of the Safetytech market. Jan's already mentioned the industry is not getting any safer, which is a stark statistic. So since 2012, safety incidents have stayed the same. They've not got better. The size of the problem is still there. In addition, the real-time assessment and management of risk, the ability for Safetytech in the real-time space is a key opportunity. Secondly, most asset failures seem random. So when compared to time or wear monitoring, assets tend to fail randomly. Safe operations are efficient operations. This is going to be key when organizations are looking at investments and where they place investments. Complexity and complex incidents tend to have a cost burden on organizations double that of an incident that was caused by a simple failure. So real-time or near real-time communication is a key enabler for Safetytech. For a long time, safety has suffered from a lack of insight with reactive or historical data being analysed. Safetytech is going to offer dynamic capabilities to monitor changing and developing risks and provide optimal courses of action to maintain the safety of operations. Of course, in complex environments, risk isn't static. Risk is often assessed and managed statically and in steady state conditions. Critical infrastructure and assets are in themselves not static. They evolve over time. Capability is added, technology is added, improvements are made, etc. Technology gaps appear that can't be bridged with siloed applications of technologies. So in this dynamic and fluid world of risk in modern industry, Safetytech is well poised to apply new patterns to manage that more effectively. A critical failure in most safety systems is the inability to monitor in real time the effectiveness of individual control measures. The collective protection of the various barriers and the protection they offer at any point in time. Systems that can't communicate in real time to drive actionable insight are susceptible to disaster. Another factor is that most asset failures are seemingly random compared with time or wear related monitoring. Safetytech brings together technologies, as I've mentioned, such as real-time data, analytics, artificial intelligence, to better protect asset failures, those which lead to safety incidents. And previously, due to the random nature, would be pretty hard or even impossible to anticipate. Safetytech spots the patterns in the normal. It's able to monitor large amounts of data, analyze large amounts of data in real time to bring new insight to safety monitoring and safety management. Now, safety and operational effectiveness are closely interlinked. So safe operations can be argued that they are effective and efficient operations. Technology applied to a safety use case will often benefit efficiency, and vice versa. Good safety is the presence of effective controls. It's not the absence of random incidents. Safety tech will realize effective monitoring of these controls. So through safety tech, safe operations are efficient operations, which of course gives another lens or perspective to the business case of an organization looking to deploy safety tech. Not only does it bring advantages in the mitigation, monitoring and management of safety, it increases operational efficiency. So the investment cases that organizations may have take on a new life when viewed through a safety tech lens. Complexity and complex safety incidents can cost double. Research has shown this. There's a step change in the complexity of modern production and assets. It's increasingly challenging to model these complex systems. With safety tech's ability to consume and analyze and treat data and collect the data, the complexity of modern systems can be simplified, they can be broken down. So at this point, it's worth mentioning some of the industries covered in the Safety Tech Market Report. If we look amongst the critical industries and focus in on energy, marine and food, those sectors represent a market for safety tech of over $50 billion by 2023, with food alone accounting for over $20 billion. If you look at food in particular, you know, agriculture has traditionally seen some of the highest percentage safety incidents in the world. It still does. Obviously a key industry for safety tech to target. Further downstream within food manufacturing and processing, global supply chains are leading to increased scrutiny of sustainability and traceability, and of course ethical trading. There's challenges around microbial contamination, allergens, mislabeling of allergens, chemical contamination of food, and also of course the physical contamination in less than ideal production environments. So technologies have matured. Sensor and wearable hardware has become cheaper, easier to access, easier to configure. Analytics and AI have become more easily deployable and understandable solutions. And there's a clear and sizable opportunity for both new startups and innovative technology firms to disrupt the safety solutions market. The technologies are there, the market is there, and the drivers are there. They're all there right now. The firms that choose to target and exploit safety tech, they're likely to take existing modular solutions, ones that they already have expertise and a market in perhaps, and combine them in new and innovative ways. They'll produce product suites which are a mesh of technologies that target very specific safety tech use cases. The real disruptors, I guess, will start to turn investment when we look back to, you know, safe operations are efficient operations. They will turn investment, once classified as operational efficiency, towards safety. So everything's there, the technology's there and set, the market is there, it needs improvements in safety, the drivers are there. You know, the future is very, very bright for safety tech, and please don't miss out. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Andrew and Jan. We're going to bring you back for a Q&A. Before we do, I just want to make a quick announcement to everyone that we're going to be sending around a poll for the startup. So if you'd like to get connected with them, please do let us know who you'd like to get connected with. And then we will, again, try our best to arrange those introductions on the back end. But Jan and Andrew, thank you for being with us. So to kick things off, Jan, you introduced earlier this incident rate plateau. what are some possibilities and what are some suggestions to help companies kind of break through that plateau?
Thanks, Harvey. Oh, great question. There's no single simple answer to this because every organization is clearly different. But there are some generic things that can always be improved, and I'll just go through some of those. Top of my list would be safety culture within an organization, because everybody from the chief executive downwards has got a role to play in taking decisions that affect safety. And to be quite honest, that's always something that can be improved. No one's ever perfect at that. Another thing would be effective training and reinforcing that training. You need training that really engages with people, and also you need to be able to reinforce that training from time to time because poor behaviours can step in over time. So you need to keep that in place. And then a lot of companies, we spoke about barriers earlier, and you have processes and procedures that companies have, but these really need to be fit for their purpose, and they need to be communicated in the right ways and monitored as well. So if they're simple and easily to communicate, they're followed. And another thing is about identifying the root cause of accidents. So accidents do happen, and unless you know what led to the decisions that led to the accident, it's unlikely you'll ever solve the basic problem. So there's something in that too. But linking all of those different things is the role of digital technologies. That they can help us make better decisions and keep people out of harm's way. And at the foundation, for us, we've got a number of activities that are ongoing that are trying to use technology to make things safer. We've got our initiative on Safetytech, and that's what we're here talking about right now. But we've also got other things, like we have a program called Discovering Safety with the UK Health and Safety Executive that's looking at how to gain insight from the data that they have and that companies also have. We've got work with the Open Data Institute, how engineering data can be shared for maximum benefit, because sometimes companies are not so keen to share that data. We've got the Assuring Autonomy International program that's looking how to demonstrate that the technologies we're talking about are actually safe. Because if they're not safe and you can't demonstrate they're safe, then there's an obstacle to them being used. So I guess there's a whole load of things there, and if anybody wants to find out more about our programs or what we want to do in Safetytech, then please visit our website or our different programs that we have, or just contact us directly.
Thank you, Jan. And this actual next question is for both of you, but why don't we hear from Andrew first? Andrew, what are some of the metrics that you're going to be looking at to determine if Safetytech is a success? What are some of the things that are going to help the industry understand that we're actually marching in a positive direction with this?
Yeah, so
Hey, Andrew, your audio is a little low. Still a little low, but let's try one more time. Jan, why don't we start with you on the question? How do you know if Safetytech is a success? And then we'll bring Andrew back once he figures out his mic.
Okay, so our interest in Safetytech as the Lloyd Register Foundation goes back to our mission, our charitable mission, which has two parts to it. One is about enhancing the safety of life and property, and the second part and advancing public education. So for us, success for Safetytech is when it's preventing accidents and incidents from occurring. But measuring the absence of incidents and accidents, as you can imagine, is really, really difficult, because We know when they happen, but it's not as easy to know when they're not happening, of course. And sometimes, even if you do get that data, it can take a decade or more to start to see the trends that cause that. So we're looking at a proxy, and for us, that proxy is about measuring the growth and the size of the safety tech market, because that's something that can be measured. So as the market grows, we will get an indication that safety tech is getting embedded and doing its social good in the world. But also, in addition to that, if the market's growing and doing well, then it's other people that will have aligned with what we want to do will also be seeing success.
It looks like we've got Andrew back. Andrew, how do you know if safety tech is a success? It's very faint, but we can try.
I guess you can look towards the level of investment into safety tech initiatives, safety tech startups.
Andrew, are you there? It looks like we might have lost you. So we apologize for that, folks. I think we are having some difficulties on our end, but Jan and Andrew, thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, we'll try to connect you with those interested parties after the event.
Thanks, Harvey.
Thank you. Okay, now we are going to move into our panel. We're very delighted to welcome these four incredible individuals. First, we have Stephen O'Connor. He works for the external innovation team for PepsiCo R&D, and he's based out of Ireland. He covers Europe as a region for external innovation, and he has a global role for sourcing new test methods globally for food, safety, quality, and measurement sciences. Rupesh Das is an SVP of Digital Acceleration and Innovation at Wallenius Wilhelmsen for the Ocean and Solutions Group. He has launched successful technology products and solutions across logistics, manufacturing, finance, and telecom. Next, we have Christy Hewitson. She is the head of IP and innovation at the National Nuclear Laboratory and has previously held VP and director level roles in life sciences at various organizations, including the Plowshare Innovation and Helsinki Innovation Services. And finally, we are pleased to welcome JC Chambers from the DCP Midstream. He looks after the venture capital opportunities in energy, corporate innovation, and digital transformation. So welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Harvey.
Okay, so would love to kind of dive in first with our first question around ideation. So how do your organizations, and Kirsty, perhaps we can start with you, how do you identify new safety improvement opportunities, and who are those teams that get involved primarily at the beginning of the process, and then they look after the pilot and going commercial?
Yeah, so at NNL we have an internal innovation program. So we're very keen on supporting that innovative culture. So we have a full comms program around our innovation program, and we support innovation in a number of ways. One is from bottom up. So we invite applications to 3 different funding streams called Primer, Builder, and Delivery, which have different values, different levels of complication. And the idea is to really empower those individuals within NNL to come forward to us with the problems that they have and potential solutions. And then we work together with them to identify externals, which we can also bring in to help solve those problems. And in addition, we work on top-down challenges to support this culture, which is all around setting challenges to the organization, which they can respond to really stimulate that innovative thinking. And then I guess the final area where we try and identify problems is actually from our customer, because although we're a national lab, we actually operate under a commercial model, and we have customers such as Sellafield, Rolls-Royce, and Ministry of Defense.
And Rupesh, one thing that we spoke about the other day was around how does a startup go from pilot to commercial? So what are some of those important success criteria that startups should be aware of in order to really move beyond the pilot phase?
Actually, that's quite a good question, because that's where most of the bottlenecks come in, right? You had a successful POC pilot, but how do you scale? How do you commercialize, right? So I think some of the things for the startups as well as for my business stakeholders, there are only kind of 2 or 3 principles, right? That it has to be high usability, very intuitive, less invasive. The more you make it less invasive, the better traction it gets and less change management, right? And cost, right? It is like, I have a principle which kind of works, is that it needs to be 4x more cost effective than traditional solutions, because it's not about being cheap. It's about, you don't get traction in the organization and business stakeholders if you are similar to very well set solutions or companies out there, right? And then the third element and the last is speed. It's like speed of everything. Speed of being responsive, speed of deployment, speed of speed in anything, right? So those things like high usability, cost effectiveness, and speed are kind of the mantras for us.
And JC, something that we had talked about as well was kind of around what are those obstacles for technologies to your frontline workers themselves? So along the lines of usability, how are you able to convince the people in your organization that this technology is actually for workplace safety and not for monitoring or other things that may invade their privacy?
Yeah, obviously, anytime that you bring technology into an environment, especially in an industry such as ours that's been around for over 100 years, people are a little skeptical. But DCP has gone through and has done a great job of establishing a culture of trust, and we're very transparent on what we're trying to achieve. Also, all of the, we have champions that are embedded into every one of our products that we put out, so they know exactly what we're doing. So the trust is embedded with their peers as well.
Yep. And Stephen, something that you had brought up, which I thought was interesting, was, how do you get confidence that new testing methods are as reliable as traditional ones, ones that your organization is comfortable with today?
Yeah, great question. So I think one thing that the current pandemic has highlighted it is the effect that microbes can have throughout the industry and multiple industries, and how it can literally bring mankind to a halt. So with traditional methods, people are very hesitant and reluctant to move away from them. But the problem with them is that they take a lot of time. So as I think it was David earlier on mentioned, it takes up to 5 days to get a result back. And in an agile, fast-paced environment, you can't wait that long. You can't have that amount of stock on hold. You need to get results back, especially for products with a short shelf life. So in terms of agility, you need to be able to have something a lot quicker. You want to ensure that what you have is going to be validated and verified against the traditional methods, that you have that science supporting it, but you also have the method validated to such an extent that you don't have false positives, you don't have false negatives, and therefore you can trust and put trust into the methods that you have now. So I suppose it's really based around having the validation plan set up successfully, and then also verifying it ongoing, and that's how you'll be able to bring new and faster methods onto into the industry. We've seen science and technology has advanced quite a lot over the past number of years. It's only about 10 years since the iPhone has come out, and how far that's advanced. So some industries, food industries, may be a little bit behind in terms of traditional methods moving to more reliable ones, but we want to make sure we do it in the right way as well. So that's the way we're going to approach it.
And I think one of the key things that we've learned about today is you have a lot of technologies that have started to develop and mature in other industries, right? And now they're identifying new markets. So Rupesh, I'll go back to you. How do you know when a technology is ready for your organization versus maybe it's still a little premature?
Yeah, I think it's a mixed basket, Harvey. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, but sometimes it's not really. So I have like a couple of examples, right? On the biosafety or biosecurity, we have this challenge globally of invasive species or stink bugs, and we as a logistics provider take stuff from one part of the world to another, right? So that's a problem. So we kind of said, okay, this is a problem in the ag industry and other industries, so there should be something around. So we tested, piloted with one of the startups around biosensors and stuff like that. And we realized at a certain point that, hey, this is not really mature to be scaled enough, and this thing. So we will wait for another 1 year or 2 years until it gets there, right? But some of the other things like computer vision, right? For looking at near misses or the speeds when we, drive through cars or tractors on a ramp, we know that is quite mature now, It's not something, it works in many other places. So how do we just make it? So I think those are like two extremes I gave you, that sometimes we don't really know, but we still want to give it a shot. Very few of those. The computer vision examples are more of those, where it has worked and then we adapt.
And Kirsty, kind of jumping onto that point, what are some of those other kind of key enabling technologies that you see that are starting to mature, starting to become enterprise grade, that you are starting to explore now for your org?
Yeah, so I guess from a nuclear perspective, our number one priority is removing the operator from harm. So remote operations and inspections is really gathering pace. Within nuclear, I guess we have a number of, should I call, special circumstances. So if we want to use an ROV, for example, to do an inspection inside a store, one of the things you have to think about is just to get the ROV in, you maybe have a meter thick of concrete that the ROV is going to operate on the other side. So when you might start to say it's remotely operated, how do you get that signal in and out of a chamber that's got a meter's thickness worth of concrete? And often to get into these cells, you only have a 6-inch port. And then once you have your ROV inside that cell, how do you ensure you're going to be able to operate it, or that it's not going to cause damage within a special environment? Because there might be certain pieces of infrastructure you don't actually want it to collide with if it starts to malfunction. How do you recover it if it breaks down? How do you shield the electronics? And how do you ensure that if it's remotely operated and it's on your site, the worst case scenario is that somebody takes control of it remotely and then can do, should we say, cause an incident which would be harmful to the local environment. So for us, when we start to think about deployment of technology from a safety perspective, it's absolutely about removing that operator from harm's way, where inspection will become increasingly important, but we also have to recognize that we have certain special circumstances for which technology may have to be particularly developed.
And Harvey, can I just add on to that? What Christy brought out was a good point around this remote assistant. So that's a technology where it was a little far off for us, like in terms of daily usage adoption. But with this COVID thing, right, it has just accelerated. So like we are now piloting and looking to soft launch full HoloLens-based remote assistants, kind of. So again, right, I mean, some of the technologies which seem a little far off, some of the incidents which have happened now has just accelerated and made it more mainstream.
I think that's an excellent point, Rupesh. How have your safety, how have your automation priorities, or your digital priorities even, how have they shifted as a result of COVID? And so, JC, quickly to you, because I know that you also focus on really early stage stuff as well. What are some things that you're seeing that are quite possibly a little early today, but that your organization or you are getting ready for in the next 2 to 3 years? To Rupesh's point, remote assistance was something that wasn't really on their radar as a critical pain point and a critical need, but now it is. Is there anything that you guys are looking at in that realm?
Yeah, I mean, kind of touching on the COVID challenges, obviously all of us have been accelerated in all of our digital transformation efforts. I'm sure that everyone has seen the Forbes article that they mentioned, who's driving your digital transformation, CEO, CTO, or COVID-19. Some of the things that were maybe Horizon 2 for DCP have definitely been accelerated and have been great. Some of the stuff that was earlier, for example, FieldBit, they work with RealWear. We have similar to the HoloLens glasses, and we're doing things and we're able to capture knowledge and do things that we didn't think that we were going to be able to do, and it's saving us time. we have 62,000 miles of gas pipeline that span across 14 states. So our remote operations, like, it's very important. If someone has a challenge, it could be 4 to 5 hours before someone could get out there to come help them out. Now they hop on their phone or their real-wear glasses, which are intrinsically safe, great technology, and they're able to take care of something that could have taken 4 to 5 hours and dropped it down to 20 minutes at this point. The other great thing is that I can bring in not just one person to see, but I can bring in the entire facility. One of the challenges that we had with that was the connectivity, being in remote locations, but we've adapted and we've brought in cellular modems that have multiple carriers on it that create a Wi-Fi range around the trucks that are about 400 feet. So we're doing a lot of great things and accelerating a lot of technologies that we're glad that we piloted, that we had in our back pocket, that have been adopted very, very quickly due to the circumstances.
And Stephen, to that point, you know, from Pepsi's perspective, you know, what are some of the things that you guys are working on internally right now as a reaction to COVID, whether it's obviously decontaminating surfaces, PPE, building trust, et cetera? Just really curious to hear kind of your take on the environment and what does the rest of 2020 look like?
Yeah, so very similar to JC, RealWear and headsets have become an integral part of the day-to-day working life. People can no longer travel, so it's great to have something like that, and it's been, I suppose, very important to have the connectivity with people, to subject matter experts across the field. Also, from a personal perspective, not necessarily not a food safety perspective, but personal perspective for the employees and associates, is that when they are touching surfaces, that codings has definitely accelerated in terms of what can we do to help people so that they don't feel as if going to work is going to be where they will contract the COVID-19 illness. So that for us is definitely accelerated to ensure that we have the right cleaning and sanitization, looking at new technologies across the board in terms of cleaning and sanitization, to ensure then that people have more confidence in what they're doing and what they're doing in work as well.
And so I guess this is a question for everyone, but maybe we'll start with you, Stephen. Do you view voice and kind of contactless, touchless interfaces, is that something that, in your opinion, is going to be accelerated for the entire industry? Because maybe that was going to become enterprise grade in, I'm going to say 4 to 5 years, but do you think that has been accelerated or catalyzed?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely going to help in speeding up a lot of things that were, as JC again mentioned, in Horizon 2, Horizon 3 even, has brought them forward to the forefront now. And they're things that we're actively focused on to bring and implement very, very quickly.
And Rupesh, on a vessel, or of course in a port, how big of a role does voice currently play in these contactless interfaces, and is that being accelerated for you?
I think now it's not just voice. Voice is one of the things for us contactless, but it's also like, how can you avoid a group of people together or something? So to JC's point right earlier, that we had some pilots going on, so we have things in back pocket, which now have just taken more traction because they can be more contactless. So, you know, case in point is we have various checks and inspections of somebody has done some work, and somebody else comes in. It's called buddy check, you know, in this industry. It would come in, look at it and stuff like that. And we're kind of automating that whole thing, that they already have a mobile over there, so they can take a picture, and with the AI and ML, it will pass or fail it, right? So you don't need somebody to come in and look at it and stuff like that. So those are, you know, also for us in our world, contactless or less contact. You can enable these things, whether it's remote, whether it's using, you know, these kind of buddy check programs. And then voice is the next frontier, which will go in over there, right? So I think it's evolution. For us, those are just channels, but all these things are evolving towards that more.
Yep. And Kirsty, I think we'll kind of move the discussion a little bit more into the ecosystem or the network side of things. So who are the other safety stakeholders for you and your organization, both internally, but also externally? You know, what are those other partners that you're working with on a daily basis to try to, establish an industry standard and kind of push the whole industry forward?
Yeah, well, nuclear is exceptionally highly regulated. So for us, it's our regulator, the ONR, Office for Nuclear Regulation. And certainly when it comes to digital and embedding those technologies moving forward, they're an integral part of that. You have to have them on board right from the start, as well as the personnel who are going to be using that technology. And it comes back to some of our previous points around building trust, but also when we think around things like the robotics area, the unions start to get word around, well, does that mean there's going to be fewer jobs for our operators? And therefore, how do you give them confidence that actually this isn't a replacement, it's actually to add value to their day-to-day life?
And JC, who are those industry stakeholders for you in DCP Midstream?
Absolutely. So would like to echo Christie's comment about industry partners. DCP has received the GPA Safety Award, which basically says that we're a top tier safety group. But I would also like just to point out that Plug and Play and LR have been huge. We're currently in the midst of working with you guys to bring forward a POC with a company called Stolar. And Stolar, basically, they use AM waves to find pipelines. And these are non-metallic pipelines, so you can't use traditional methods. So Harvey, his team, the LR team have been fabulous. They brought Stolar forward. Unfortunately, we had to delay it a little bit due to COVID and the constraints around that. But the LR team and the Plug and Play team have been fabulous in accelerating some of those technologies.
Well, thank you very much for that, JC. We appreciate it. And then I guess moving over to really quickly to Stephen in the food supply chain, looking at it more holistically, how do you view the efficacy or the integrity of the food supply chain when you look all the way back to the farmer and then forward even into the retail shelf? That's a long and complicated process with lots of different stakeholders, lots of paper swapping, lots of different interests. How do you guys approach that from a safety perspective?
Great question. With difficulty. No, but really, I think we're looking at new technologies like blockchain has been out there for a number of years now, and we're trying to see how that could be effective for us. Obviously, with such a large organization as ourselves, multiple suppliers going from 2 or 3 back to 2 or 3 forward potentially, to have integrity across the whole of that is very, very difficult. But with the processes we have in place currently, we are definitely interested in exploring newer opportunities like blockchain and other IT solutions to help with that as well.
I apologize. It's coming by, and my French bulldog puppy gets excited. Rupesh, along that lines, can we talk a little bit about intermodal? There's so many stakeholders there, and as are you taking product from the ship into the drayage and then all the way through to the truck driver? There's a lot of things there. How are you guys projecting confidence and safety and trust in the process?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because a lot of the folks involved are not really your employees or your direct influencers, kind of. So like we have to partner with various suppliers, right, at the ports, the stevedoring or the unions, who kind of do all the work at the port, to the carriers, the truck or the rail carriers who will take these equipments or cars to the dealers, right? So there's a whole set of chain of events there. So that's why we are very focused that, how do we kind of give them tools? Like, so for example, the truck carriers, right? Can they get some mobile apps or tools where we have our SOPs and stuff like that over there, but at a real-time basis? Somebody earlier to this session talked about, making it real-time, right? Safety real-time. And I think that's where some of those things, as they are happening, right, in that supply chain, can we grab more and more data of that? But you have to incentivize your suppliers. You just won't get adoption if you don't incentivize them, right? So if they can capture damage, like I say that, safety is like a Batman and Robin thing, you need to partner with other things, whether it's operations or damages or stuff like that, and then then it amplifies safety. So if you incentivize them, and that leads into getting their claims better or liability less for them on damages, then they're willing to kind of do things for you, right? So that's a good question. Like, it's not a simple answer to it, but you have to play with that whole ecosystem,
Yeah, agreed. And to everyone, thank you very much for your time. I can't explain enough our appreciation. Thank you for also working with us and LR on the Safety Accelerator initiative. So Kirsty, Rupesh, Stephen, and JC, thank you very much for coming up and sharing some of those thoughts with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Okay, so I'm now going to turn things back over to Salar for closing remarks.
Thank you, Harvey. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in today's Safety Tech Expo. We were excited to have so many people here on board, which is amazing because it shows how important the topic of safety is and how it affects all of our lives, either directly or indirectly. Basically, before giving a quick overview about the upcoming events, I would like to mention that every participant of this expo today will get an exclusive access to the Lloyd's Register Foundation Safety Tech report. So please check your inbox after this event. I would like to thank our participants today, our startups, Gartner, Lloyd's Register, and Lloyd's Register Foundation, our panelists. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, Saeed and Richard especially as well, for taking the time to talk a little bit about safety. Please check out our upcoming events. You can also go on our website on pnptc.com/events. If you would like to find out more about Plug and Play or our safety tech initiatives together with Lloyd's Register and Lloyd's Register Foundation, please message us on safetytech@pnptc.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and most importantly, stay safe. Bye.